Benary is a flower seed breeding company, only from seeds. And this is a company based in Germany. That's where the headquarters is. About myself, very briefly, I've always been in the industry, starting in France, and then spent 20 years in the US, and so 12 years in Germany, and now back to France. I've been half of my life in production and half of my life in sales and business management. Benary, like I said, is a flower breeding company from seeds only. We are creating novelties, but not just flowers. Seed technology is a core part of our activity. It's very important because this is also part of the product that you're going to use. Okay, and I'm going to present to you a short video regarding some of Bee Green seed technology. So every time that you will receive some seeds from Benary which are labeled Bee Green, it means no microplastic, no chemical. And for some growers, it's extremely important. For us, it is extremely important because this is who we are and how we take care of our environment. So Bee Green is everything about the palette, but also its seed technology is about everything that we do to enhance germination, but also young plant vigor. So talking about a seed, its germination is one thing, young plant vigor is another thing, because it's going to define how many young plants you're going to be able to use. On the right side, you have prime seeds. On the left side, you have raw seeds. Prime seed is going to speed up your germination and make it more even. If we have apex seeds, like for here on Sempervivum, apex seeds is a seed treatment we do to lift up the dormancy of the seeds to reach a much higher germination. We have multiform type of pelleting, coating, and things like this. And we have, for example, cracked pellets and melted pellets. And this is important to know which one are what, because as a young plant, the handling is a little bit different. On the left side, you have a cracked pellet, right side, a melting pellet, and you can see that as soon as it reaches the bottom of the cell, the pellet is melted. Okay, so that was a very quick snapshot regarding seed technology. Okay, this is important because this is the product that, the form of the product that we are selling and that you are receiving from Ball Straathof. A quick little note, seed handling, okay, in the overall 10-15 degrees Celsius in your company storage, okay? If you have an apex seed or a prime seed, it's 5 degrees Celsius. It is important. It defines also the longevity and the quality of the germination. Ball Straathof asked me to put together a presentation on our cut flower portfolio. The reason for that is that Benary, mostly known for this bedding plant product offering, but is also very active in cut flowers. So, and we are going to talk about cut flowers for field production as much as greenhouse production. The overall concept, some products are going to be new for us, okay, but it's also mostly how to approach production with a different, I would say, angle. Most of the production in cut flowers, as you all know, is very standardized, okay? And we have developed in collaboration with some quite large farms a new approach as how can we bring new benefits for your farms and your market. It's all about business strategy, okay? It's vision, how to handle the seasons, how to handle flexibility in your production. It's very important because the trends are changing, colors assortment are changing, product rotation are needed. So regarding cut flowers from Benaries, we have quite of a large assortment from the Delphinium, from Limonium, Scabiosa, Craspedias, Astilbe, etc. We are not going to talk about all of those today, but we are going first to start with Delphinium, okay? Why? Because from the Delphinium, we built a new concept that we are replicating. A little note, when we talk about Delphinium, we have two lines, Benaries Pacific, and I really stress on Benaries Pacific, okay? Because it's all about breeding and selection, okay? Then comes seed technology. Delphinium is not necessarily always the easiest to germinate, okay? So seed technology plays a very strong role. Magic Fontaines. So what are we going to look at is to work with unique genetics, okay? And I say unique because in the genetics, if you talk about perennials, they are true, what I call true perennials requiring vernalization. Vernalization can be a cold treatment. Vernalization can be, I would say, day length management. It's all about to bring the plants from juvenile stage to generative stage, okay? So it can be numbers of true leaves development and then to bulk the plant. In this case, we are mostly going to talk about what we call annualized perennials. Okay, so these are products which are going to be extremely easy for you to use and with a very fast crop rotations. We are talking about plant harvest, seasonal crop mix adjustment, high density production practices. Okay, and that is going to be one of the strong points of our conversations today. It's a conversation, it goes both ways. Okay, I highlight that, so question, comments are always very welcome. Flexibility of production, low plant cost, okay, versus other products from TC or other specific hybrids. I'm here to sell my genetic. I'm going to be very upfront. It's normal. We are working together, but I never pitch a genetic against another one. Everybody has a place. Okay, that's very important because each product has its characteristic, and most of the time a farm is going to need both of them because their market need both of them. High efficiency in crop management is a key important. Low labor demand throughout the crop rotations and managing and approaching a low disease or I would say viruses pressure, okay? All of that comes with the genetic and crop management. So Delphinium Pacific, Benaries Pacific and Magic Fontaine. These are perennial plants, okay? 1.6 centimeters average. Magic Fontaine is a little bit shorter, 1.4 meters. Anyway, those heights usually are already plenty enough. We don't need a 2-meter stems, no matter what you're going to have to cut them back. Okay, fast tracks, every time you see fast tracks, no vernalization required from Benaries. Okay, and all these products have been extremely tested. Just for the Magic, for the Pacific, we have 10 colors and we have 12 colors with the Magic Fontaines. So this is a little bit the assortment. The farms with which I work on developing processes are usually going to use both. And you're going to say mixing two series on the production strategies, no problem with this type of products. And the reason they are going to use both, it depends on their markets, how their customers are going toward colors. There are colors that you're going to find in the Pacifics and others that you're going to find in the Magic Fontaines. Depending on the markets, wait a second. Depending on the markets, okay, the numbers of colors are going to be very different. If you look at the seasonal market, for example, in North America, they are going to use pretty much all the colors, okay? If you're looking at the market from Latin America, Colombia, and Ecuador, they are going to focus on 4 colors, mainly the key numbers from Pacific, Benares Pacific, and then a couple colors from Magic Fontaine. But these are complete different type of market. One is going to be what I call proximity market, so internal market consumption, and the other one is all focused about export. And when I talk about cut flowers, I talk about products which have been already well tested for export at temperatures between 1.5 to 5 degrees Celsius export, okay? When there are products which are still in process of developing for that, I will mention that, okay? So this is things which have been very strongly tested. So, like you see, production can be done outdoor as well as in greenhouses. What I like with the concept that we are talking about together is this is not what I would call complicated processes. It doesn't require specific high-tech tools, like I would say greenhouses in Holland. No, we are talking Latin America farm setups, so very light concept of greenhouses like we have in South Africa. We are talking field production, so everything can be replicated. When we talk about products and production, when you see a concept, it has to be transferred, not duplicated. This is very important because every single farm is different. Okay, every company has its own way of putting things into production. They have their own staff and understanding, and it takes always, it's a process. It takes a little bit of time. So I'm looking forward to tell you some few things which are, I hope is going to kind of like challenge you in a way, and that you're going to say, no way. And I'm going to say, yeah, okay? That is very important, but we have to take it smoothly, okay? So here, for example, we are at 2,600 meters high. Bogota is at 2.8 meters high. They are under different light regime. They are 12 hours light regimes, so different conditions, okay? They produce year-round and outdoor and indoor. Little parenthesis about the light conditions, 12 hours, yes, great. But sometimes we have like the rainy season, okay? So we are going to have lots of overcast, and some growers are going to light their fields. I'm talking lighting the field, okay? Yes, we have a bunch of solar panels in the background, okay? But just to what I look forward with Kathy and the sales staff is that we have a communication across the year. We have to, this is a conversation, because if you want to implement something, and I really hope so, we have to work together, okay? It's a shared knowledge. I'm here to share what I have learned from the growers, from other places, and to transfer, to share with you, okay? So, young plant production this is going to be Ball Straathof, or you do it yourself. But then we are looking at how does it, this project, how does it work? For Delphinium, yes, 75 plants to 90 plants per square meter. Woohoo! Okay. Catch your breath. Okay, it's really good, okay? High density planting to achieve high yield per square meter, 1 flush per crop, harvest 18 weeks after transplant. So, let's take a pause. It's all about business, okay? You're going to say, okay, 18 weeks, 1 flush, pure newel. I'm used to have my delphiniums at least 18 months to 24 months in my fields. I'm having a cut, and I'm going to wait. And I'm going to get my second flush. And then I'm going to wait. And eventually I'm going to get a third flush. Okay. Every time you wait, it's money. Okay? And where is the money coming from? The money is coming from that your biggest investment on your farm is your land. Remember, it's what, maybe it's already paid off, but you still have, it's there, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is going to be, what is your yield per square meter per week? How much money are you going to make per square meter per week? Production net. It's all about the rezoning. That's one thing. Another thing. The second thing is going to be your market. You're going to start a classic production, and you're going to say, okay, I'm planting right now, I will have my first flush, which is usually the highest quality flush, okay, for Christmas, for Mother's Day, and things like this. Good. And then after, you're going to have to wait, and you're going to have your staff mobilized to, on a regular basis, starting to harvest some stems that you have to bring to the market. And if you work with an auction system, well, the price might not be as attractive because this is not a high demand season. Or the color assortment is not necessarily what the season is asking for. Okay? All of these are important to take into consideration. While you wait for the next flush, you have to maintain the crop. Okay? So you have labor invested into it. Okay? For harvesting, for weed control, for the land maintenance, for watering, for fertilizer, and all the other chemicals. Okay? So you say, wow, there is a big difference, 75 to 90 plants per square meters. Every company has its own, I would say, setup, okay? In greenhouses, we are going to be on lower density because you have less highlight level, okay? Outside, you can push it quite further. It's different situation. Then there are also growers which, because of their microclimate, are going to say, well, I'm a little bit on the drier side, okay? So I'm going to push my planting density, okay? Less disease pressure. Another one is going to say, well, I'm in my climate, Colombia, for example, indoor, I'm going to go down more to 70, 75 plants per square meter. Net, okay? I'm not talking gross, I'm talking net. So these pictures is just to give you an idea what truly is happening, okay? Is it? Okay. This is a product, because right now we are talking production, but I want you to have a vision of what we are talking about, the product, okay? How it is produced, how it is harvested, what the stem length is looking like, at what stage it is harvested, okay? So, a little reminder, you transplant, 18 weeks average later on, you harvest, and you tear down the whole thing. Okay? Don't feel sorry. Have a big heart. Okay? You tear down everything, and you start again. Here is a big thing. We go to the extreme. 90 plants per square meter, you're going to say, okay, I'm going to harvest 85 plants per every 85 stems per square meter. Always get, math doesn't exist always with nature, okay? It's going to take a week or so to rebuild your field. And remember, you don't plant in a field, you plant in beds and raised beds. The way you're going to treat your soil is going to define the result later on, okay? Soil texture and soil structure is extremely important. The depth of the capacity of the roots to go is key. If you don't have any roots, the plant is not going to grow well. You can pour as much fertilizer as you want if there is no intake, okay? All of those factors are very important to take into consideration when you set a program. What do you do when you have teared down everything? You can replant the same thing, You can change your color assortment, or you can put another crop. You are not bound for the next 18 months or up to 3 years because you planted tissue culture products. Nothing wrong with tissue culture products, okay? Nothing wrong with other genetics in Delphinium, okay? But some genetics, you have to keep them 18, 24 months because there is such a high cost invested at the beginning. So a farm is going to do very often both. And one is going to be shouldering the other one, okay? It's your farm production crop management. Yeah, field production. Feels good. 85, 90 plants per square meter on this farm, okay? You see the density. You see there is, it's nice, it's clean. There is no part of the field which is going to dump on the side. Very strong stems. So it does really work.
Do they support it in the fields?
They are going to use support in the fields. So you're going to have a mesh, okay? Most of the time it's going to be one mesh, 15 by 15, okay? Depending on the area, sometimes we are going to also have to pull a line on the side of the bed just to avoid some verse if they are on a more windy area, okay? Okay, so it was a fast swing on the Delphinium. And what we have done, working, this is what Benary does, it's always teamwork. And teamwork goes teamwork with our customers or the customers of our customers, okay? Meaning customers are going to be our partner distributors like Ball Straathof, and then we work also directly with their customers, you. So what we introduced 3 years ago now, the Limonium Hipster, which at Benary was first introduced as a container plant. And I said with one of my customers, that's a cut flower, okay? So this is what is very interesting when between the vision of a company and what the market wants, okay? So Hipster is a series which is definitely suitable for very high density production. It's flower stems, flower stems is about, I would say 60 to 70 centimeters, okay? Depending, some colors are going to be more on 55. That is plenty enough for bouquets. It's always the same thing. Some growers are always, not some, most of growers are always going to do both. The tissue culture, they want the stem like this because their customer base, they want that. They are going to pay for that, and they are going to pay for the freight to ship it, because a tall box in an airplane is very expensive, okay? A lot is going to be used for bouquet. Bouquet is an average of 50, 55 centimeters stem length, and this is a very growing market. This is why there is a lot of interest on those types of products. This is a first year flowering status. Okay, this is from seed. And we are going to talk about a production, a program, again, program production. You transplant, 15, 16 weeks later, you harvest, okay? And you can harvest up to 6 weeks. And that is going to depend about your environment, your climate. Is it indoor, outdoor, okay? Usually after 4 weeks, you have done quite a bit. 6 weeks maximum, the plant even is exhausted, okay? By the way, we are talking about 25 to 30 plants per square meter with status. If you take a tissue culture, we are going to take the extreme, okay? We are talking about 7 to 9 plants per square meter. Okay? Yes?
A year long, or is it just season?
seeds.
No, I'm saying, can you produce year round? Or is it just for the season, per season?
Okay. If you want to use them year-round, you can use them year-round. But then you get into the same situation than for any other status. You're going to have to plant much less per square meter, okay? You're going to have to maintain your product for a much longer time. You're going to be, and this is a key point, very much more sensitive to disease pressure. Remember that status is very sensitive to viruses. So this is the thing. I would not recommend to try to do a in-between type of concept and saying, I'm going to keep it for 12 months. It defeats the purpose. You can, okay, not a problem there, but you're not, I would say you're not going to benefit as much as you could from this product, okay? So you have to remember that your input cost from a seed item like Hipster is a small portion compared to a tissue culture, okay? And there, with this type of situation, your key things are going to be your value of your production area per square meter per week, okay? And then your investment in tissue culture. Okay, the disease pressure is a very big topic because with status, you plant 9 plants per square meter, okay, let's say, and then it comes that you're going to lose 1 plant, okay, within the next 4-6 months. Eventually, 10-12 months later on, you might lose here and there another plant, okay? Look at it. You already lost 20% of your initial investment in plant. Nothing wrong with that. You're going to get a different product. You're going to get a premium type of thing that the florist is going to ask, so you're going to sell it at a higher price. I'm fine with that. However, your own investment is very much depending on your disease pressure situation. The other thing is, you're going to have to harvest all year long, and usually you're going to have to keep that crop for 2.5 years to 3 years, okay? Here we are talking that you're going to keep the crop for 22 weeks, and you're done. So even with 25 to 30 plants per square meter, if you are losing 1 or 2, you're not going to really see it. Okay, it's a minor topic. Okay. Yeah.
I think maybe when you want to, can you plant like a new cycle every 2 weeks for the whole year?
Of course. So this is crop management. I would never say, for example, if you need status production all year round, definitely you're going to transplant, you're going to divide your production area, okay, and you're going to say, okay, I have 12, I divide it in 12, okay, and I'm going to transplant every 2 weeks, okay. But definitely, I highly recommend, unless you, for example, have tissue culture production that you know that you're going to keep for 2 or 3 years, okay, but you don't want to have so much in it, okay? You don't want to have all your farm in it, only, let's say, half of it, okay? But during the peak season, you need more product material for the bouquet, okay? And then you're going to say, I'm going to program. I have 2 seasons in the year where I need way more stems, and I have to satisfy my market, my customer. We are all there to bring solutions for our customers. Okay, when I look at a production situation, okay, my first question is, what is in it in my production, in my product, which is going, or my concept, which is going to be profitable for my customers? Which means that I have first to ask you, what do you need? That's a very complicated question because we need so many things, which means that we need to really stream down some very specifics. And what I'm trying to answer right now is that it's going to be a strategic shoulder production to allow you to respond to market demand with peaks at some time of the year, minimizing disease pressure, and offering you a high flexibility and high yield per square meter. We go back, it's all about how much rent you're going to generate per square meter per week in certain amount of weeks of production. It's profit, okay? So I did a quick math with the growers. We are talking 250 to 300 stems per square meter, okay? That's not too bad. You can do the math, okay? And what you can obtain, okay? So we have 4 colors plus 1, okay? We have an apricot also. Good. Well, this is a classic, I would say, Statis production in this one is in Colombia, okay? And you can see also, I like this picture because it's not, the production is not mature, and you can see how they crisscross the beds to maintain the plant and to have, it's easy to harvest, okay? I put this picture. This is we have all our trial fields in 50-liter containers. This is for all customer base. But what I like with this is a 50-liter container with 5 plants in it. You see the density, okay? This is a full summer, okay? We are talking variation between 25 to 35 degrees Celsius. And you have stems which are 60 centimeters, okay, in a very high density, nothing dies, okay? It's just to give you the, to visualize the potential. Okay, we go from Statis to Scabiosa, okay? So that's a big swing because we are talking about a product which is completely different, more perennial type. And this one, I'm going to say, yes, we are going to talk about high-density plantation, but it's going to be for a 12-month crop, okay? So why? Because Scabiosa is a plant which is going to generate its stems not as a flush, but more progressive, okay? However, compared to a Scabiosa from cuttings or from tissue culture, you're going to look at a stem which is going to be 60 centimeters long. When I see my colleagues from, like, for example, Danzigers, I work in greenhouses in Latin America, and they have Scabiosas. Okay, I'm not very tall, okay? But I feel very short then suddenly, okay? They have very long stems. They have beautiful flowers, unique type of flowers. I'm talking about a different type of flowers, okay? So same thing, it's a Scabiosa, but it's a different type of product, okay? By the way, try to ship a 2-meter plus stem, it's not going to work, okay? So they have to cut it back at length. So this is, by the way, a picture which was taken in Aalsmeer at the auction, okay? This is Scabiosa Fama from Benary. And I like this picture because on the left side, it's beautiful. It really needs to reach the flower shop, okay? The flowers is getting like a little bit too open. We are talking about vase life, okay? On the right side, the white, it's a perfect stage when it arrives at the auction because most of the flowers are still tight. And we will talk about a little bit the cutting type of the Scabiosa Fama. So here, I just wanted to give you to visualize production. This is a field production, and we are here with 45 plants per square meter net. Okay, a Scabiosa at 45 plants per square meter, it's daring. Okay, This is what this grower is doing. You're going to tell me, do I have to do that? No, we have to adapt. If you tell me, well, I just want to start with 30, okay? I say, start with 30, start with 25. That's not a problem. It's a progressive thing. We have to look at the product according to your microclimate, according to your season. You know, these are things that to work together with Ball Straathof, their team, myself in parallel. We're ramping up the concept. What is important is that you're going to start to harvest at 16 weeks from transplant. So you see, this is something which is going to go very fast, okay? You're going to harvest for 52 weeks, okay? So all year round, you're going to harvest. After that, I would say you need to take them out because then the plant is really exhausted. We have asked the plant a lot. Numbers of stems per plant, 4.5 stems. Total stems per square meter per year, 189 stems per year. So I like to show you this picture. Everything is visual, okay? When you tell your staff, when are you going to harvest? Or when you walk into the field in the morning and you have to plan it, when am I going to harvest? Here, according to the farm where we were, it was 3 days prior harvest, okay? It's all about temperature, okay? But it was pretty cool at this time of the year, 3 days. What you want is to have, first of all, it has to be colored, so the white, the petals of the white has to start to be white, and you need to have like 2 or 3 petals starting to unfold, okay? And you will be surprised, they can be not more than that. You're going to harvest, putting in a cooler, ship at 5 degrees Celsius, and they are going to start to open as soon as they are back at the florist shop at 15 degrees Celsius. This is usually the temperature that they have, okay? So these are all those parts to look at and to program your harvest because first of all, you need to know, you need to manage your staff, and you need to tell your customers it's really coming, okay? Other products, the Eryngium Glitter, white glitter and blue glitter. So this is a product which is between 90 to 100 centimeters. Doesn't need vernalization. Lots of Eryngium need vernalization, not this one. It's I would say a classic, for me it's a classic cut flower which is coming back to fashion, okay? And good. And which is a really good field production. I will put the glitter product in the same category than the Scabiosa. So you're going to keep it for a whole year, okay? Other cut flower type we have in the Callistephus asters. We have the Fan series. So Fan series, if you look at the flower, you're going to tell me the name of my competition, okay? I know that they have done a very good job to promote their product and they have a good genetic. It's extremely similar, okay? And good. And this is definitely outdoor and indoor production, but we bring it to the level of 90 plants per square meter, okay? And first harvest after 11 weeks. You're going to harvest for a couple of weeks, okay? And you're going to have 1 stem per plant, okay? We are rezoning crop time always from transplant in these conditions. This is a color offering that we have, and this is what it looks in vase. Other type of Callistephus, Benary has lots of different type of Callistephus. I only took 2, okay? We have here Benary's Princess, which is a large flowered, fully double flower. If you want to change. And here you see the flower assortment, the color assortment, I would say. I just wanted to take two very different types so you have an idea. You go in our catalog and you will see that we have 4 series. Yep. We jump and we go into Helianthus. Helianthus is one of the key cut flower crop that we see worldwide. You have lots of beautiful genetics out there. Benary has some, like the lemon, Helianthus lemon from Benary, a large flower type. And we have Sonja, okay? Sonja is a cut flower, which is, it's a spray type, okay? Which yeah, good. Yep, perfect. Which we also, I would say, rework in production concept with farms in Latin America, okay? So it's a spray type. We talk about my colleague, Yvette talked about the spray Helianthus earlier this morning, and here we are going to talk about a little bit of a different type of spray. And this product, working with the farms, really caught at Proflora. Proflora is every 2 years in Colombia. This is a major trade show, okay? And the buyers for the US market really got interested in this product and the way it is produced. Why? Because, good. We are talking here 32 to 35 plants per square meter and apical debudding at 4 weeks after transplant, okay? So it's apical debudding very early, okay? And the result is that they are going to have 3 to 4 flowers pretty much at the same level on the bouquet, on the spray. And this is what they wanted, okay? And it's been very, very interesting to see the market reaction. It's not about the color. It's not about the stem length. We are good, you know, 50, 60 centimeters and more. It's about the presentation. They want flowers to look at you, nicely presented, and a bunch of, you know, 3, 4 on the spray. That is for them key. For the grower, the key part is going to be 32 to 35 plants per square meter, okay? Easy intervention to apical debudding. I don't say a pinch. There is a big difference, okay? A pinch is already, the plant is quite mature and we have to really cut, okay? This is apical debudding. This is a very, what I call a soft, okay? And then first harvest is 9-10 weeks from transplant. Some growers are going to sow directly, okay? That works very well. You're just going to add about 10 days more in your crop. The only little conflict, it all depends about your setting, because your enemy are going to be the birds, okay? Something to think of when you start to plan your production. Yep. So 140 stems per square meter per year when you do crop by crop, okay? Other type of Helianthus, we have ring of fire, just to give you an idea that we have multiple type of plants, and Soraya, very large yellow gold color. Good. Craspedia. So Craspedia, again, this is a, I would say, well-known type of products on the market, very trendy, and everybody wants to have it. For us, we introduce it from seed. This is usually a product which is only from tissue culture, okay? Giving very nice products, very nice long stems with large balls, okay? This is again, we came to the growers and their sales marketing force, and say, okay, we have something which is a little bit different. It's a Craspedia. We are talking about a plant which is going to have 60 centimeters stem length, and the flower size is about 2.5, 3 centimeter diameter. Is that enough? They say, yeah, for bouquets. Yeah, again, for the peak season, well, let's try. So we did try with them, and we went with the same concept, high-density plantation, fast crop, you rotate, you take out, and you start again. Okay, you remember the Delphinium? I take the Delphinium as a landmark, okay, or the Statis as a landmark, same story, okay? You're not going to keep a Craspedia for 2 years in your production, okay? You're going to keep this, guys, for I would say with the harvesting, you're going to keep it for 13, 14 weeks, and you're done, okay? So again, it's a little bit challenging in the mindset at the beginning. 45 plants per square meter net, okay? You start to harvest at week 11. From transplant, you're going to harvest for a couple of weeks, and you're going to get 24 stems per square meters. Okay? So you take it out. You have to remember that in this type of concept, the temptation is always going to be, oh, I'm going to milk it as far as I can, okay? So I'm going to push it with 1 more month. You can, but you're on a very high density production, okay? You're going to lose in your stem, numbers of stem very quickly. The plants are going to be exhausted, and your disease pressure is going to climb. What you're going to do, you start a new battle, okay? Because that means you're going to say, oh, I'm going to start to do preventive sprays. I'm going to start to do this, and my production is going to go down, but you're so attached to your plants, okay? Don't do that. Watch where your money is going. Again, we are talking about profitability, yield, okay? We are talking also about market satisfaction. You're looking at bringing a product at some peak season when it's needed for your customers and being able to say, yes, I have it, and in quantities, okay? That's a very big thing. Echinaceas. So here we have Prairie Sun, Rudbeckias, thank you. Rudbeckias, here we have Prairie Sun. This is a classic that now I would have never thought about a cut flower. This is not me who said this is a cut flower. These are those large growers in other areas who say, we need that. Why? Because the market needs diversification, okay? The market of the cut flowers, you have the roses #1, okay? You have carnation #2, and then you have chrysanthemums, and then you have first block of diversification, Helianthus. Helianthus market is a very strong market, okay, product type, and then you have all the other products. And the market says it's not enough, okay? So this is where we have products like Rudbeckias, which comes into play and which works in production, okay, and works very well for also vase life and so forth. So Prairie Sun, like you can see the very large flower size. This is something which is very attractive. And just wanted to show you a little bit in vase what they do, okay? Zinnias, Benary's Giants. We have 2 series. We have Benary's Giants and we have Oklahoma. And you're going to tell me which one. Well, Benary's Giants, larger flowers, higher stems. Oklahoma, a little bit smaller flower, not so fully double and shorter stems. 2 types of products, both are good, okay? It depends what your market needs. Same concept, okay? High density production, we are talking 45 plants per square meter, and we are talking about 10, 12 flowers per stem, okay? Just wanted to show you what it looks like at the beginning, okay? And how dense is the production and stays clean, okay? So this is a great product. It's a great product for what I call proximity market, meaning like South Africa to South Africa, okay? We are still working for what I would call the export market because it's a question of temperature handling, okay? I would say it's 80% resolved. It's mostly a question of knowing at what stage to harvest and to train the staff. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to see, but just a couple pictures to give you an idea. And there is a gentleman, my customer over there, to show you the height of the production. Okay. Benary's giants and Benary's giants. Some few more colors. Good. Other type of products, eucalyptus. Okay. Eucalyptus is a very important product for bouquets, for cut flowers. It's foliage, it's for good fragrance, and this is something which is always used. Here, we are not talking high-density plantation, but it's good to know the optimum conditions for production. So we have silver dollar and baby blue bouquet. And this is, in this case, a product that you're going to keep 3, 5 years, etc. in production. But then you have two types of production. I will just go very quickly over that. You have the option one, where you're going to have a little bit higher density plantation on the row, mostly. And after a year and a half, 2 years, well, you start to harvest and things like this, and it gets pretty dense. You're going to take one plant every two plants. Okay, so that's one way to do, is to try to reach the maximum very fast, high yield. Okay, or you're going to have a little bit less density on the row, and you're going to keep the production going. What is very important is that eucalyptus loves water. We all know that, okay? And it's a good idea to have it on a drip line. When you transplant eucalyptus, yes, it's a tree. Yes, it's a bush, it's a tree. You can look at it this way. It's a tough plant, but it has some requirements, okay? Your land has to be really leveled, and you need to be able to have some good drainage, depending on your climate. You absolutely don't want to have areas where your plants are going to be stuck into a water puddle for too long, because then you're going to lose your trees, okay? So it's not just like I'm having land and I plant like this and I do it and it's going to be good. No, there is a good land preparation first. Okay, yeah, we can keep going. And yes, thank you. So if you have any question, I mean, these are programs we have talked internally with my colleagues, partners at Ball Straathof, and they can answer lots of questions.